When I moved into my new neighborhood in Dallas, Texas, I never thought that something as simple as unpacking boxes and fixing a leaky faucet would change the way I looked at people around me. My name is Laura Mitchell, and this story is one that still makes me tremble when I think back to it. It wasn't about danger in the way you'd imagine, but about the fragile line between trust, kindness, and the unexpected turns of human behavior. The first few weeks after settling into my two-story townhouse were exhausting. Between working as a freelance graphic designer, keeping up with deadlines, and trying to set up my home, I barely had the energy to breathe. My neighbors seemed friendly enough. Most waved hello when I walked my golden retriever, Daisy, down the street. The one family I noticed most often was the Harris family, who lived next door. Karen Harris was warm and cheerful. She baked cookies often and once left a basket at my doorstep with a card that said, "Welcome to the neighborhood, Laura." I instantly felt grateful to have her as a neighbor. Her husband, Daniel Harris, was quieter. He was tall, with a calm demeanor and a kind of presence that made you feel safe. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his voice carried reassurance. One Saturday afternoon, I found myself in a bind. A pipe under my kitchen sink had burst, and water was spraying everywhere. I scrambled, panicked, trying to find the main shutoff valve. My hands shook as I called the emergency plumber, who told me it would take at least 2 hours before anyone could come by. 2 hours with water flooding my brand-new cabinets felt like a disaster. That was when I heard a knock at my door. When I opened it, Daniel stood there, holding a wrench. "I heard the noise and saw the water coming out onto your porch," he said. "Do you want me to take a look?" I hesitated for only a second before stepping aside. "Yes, please. I don't know what I'm doing, and it's getting worse by the minute." Daniel quickly slid under the sink, his hands moving with confidence. In minutes, he managed to stop the water. Relief washed over me, and I let out a laugh I didn't realize I'd been holding in. "Oh my gosh, thank you." I was seriously about to cry. He gave me a small smile. "Don't worry, it happens to everyone. These pipes are old. You should get them replaced soon." That simple act of kindness could have ended there. But it didn't. Over the next few weeks, Daniel began to offer help more often. When my lawnmower wouldn't start, he fixed it. When a storm knocked out my power, he came by with a flashlight and even hooked up a small generator so my fridge wouldn't spoil. I was grateful, but also uneasy. Not because he did anything inappropriate, he never crossed that line, but because I began to notice how much I depended on him. Karen was always polite, but I started feeling guilty, like I was intruding on their marriage. One evening, when I tried to politely refuse Daniel's help, saying I didn't want to bother him, he replied with something that caught me off guard. "You're not a bother, Laura. Sometimes helping you makes me feel useful, in ways I can't always feel at home." The words hung in the air between us. I didn't know what he meant, but my heart skipped a beat. His tone wasn't flirtatious, but it carried weight. Something unspoken. Something heavy. From that day forward, I couldn't look at Daniel the same way. One particular evening is what left me shaking and has stayed in my memory ever since. I had just returned home late after running errands. It was storming outside, thunder rumbling across the sky. As I stepped out of my car, struggling to carry heavy grocery bags, Daniel appeared out of the shadows of his driveway. "Need a hand?" he asked. Before I could say yes or no, lightning cracked, startling me so badly, I dropped one of the bags. Glass shattered across the wet driveway. My knees went weak, and I gasped, clutching my chest. Daniel rushed forward, steadying me by the arm. "Laura, are you okay?" I nodded, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. The storm, the noise, the broken glass, it was too much at once. He guided me to my porch, helping me sit down while the rain poured around us. His presence was grounding, but the closeness, the intensity of the moment, made me shake even harder. For a second, I thought he might lean in closer, but instead, he let go of my arm, picked up the groceries, and set them inside my door. When he came back out, he looked at me with eyes that seemed burdened. "Sometimes storms get to all of us," he said softly. "Don't let it scare you more than it should." And then he walked away. That night, I sat in my living room, unable to shake the feeling that something fragile had been tested. He hadn't done anything wrong, but the situation left me with a whirlwind of emotions: gratitude, confusion, and guilt. Over the following months, I began setting clearer boundaries. I learned how to fix small things around the house myself, even if it took me twice as long. Karen and I grew closer as friends, baking together and having coffee on Saturday mornings. Daniel remained polite but distant, as if he, too, recognized that invisible line we had almost crossed. Looking back, I realized the shaking wasn't just from fear of the storm. It was from realizing how easily trust can blur into something else. Daniel never betrayed Karen, and I never betrayed myself, but the experience taught me the importance of keeping boundaries clear, no matter how kind intentions may seem. It left me shaken, yes, but it also left me stronger. Because sometimes the scariest storms aren't the ones outside our windows, they're the ones inside our hearts.